is a big controversy currently about television ratings. 20 crore families in India have a TV set. There are 912 TV channels. 40,000 crore rupees are spent every year on TV advertising. There's an agency called BARC which measures the viewership of each channel. But they cannot spy on every Indian home to see who is watching which channel. BARC measures viewership by sampling. It has selected 44,000 out of the 20 crore homes across India and installed a device in the TV sets in each of these homes to measure viewership. Many experts have questioned how just 44,000 households can reflect the viewership pattern of 130 crore Indians. They claim that BARC ratings are wrong because of the small sample size. Sampling is a very commonly misunderstood idea, yet it is used extensively. Do you know that the sanctity of India's democracy and key decisions of India's economy are dependent on sampling? Let me explain. In the 2019 elections, out of the 10 lakh electronic voting machines or EVMs, a sample of 20,000 was chosen by the Election Commission to verify the EVM results with the paper trail of the vote. Only if they all match will India's elections be certified as genuine, else it will be cancelled. One of the most important economic decisions that impacts the entire economy is the interest rate set by the RBI. To decide whether to increase or decrease interest rates, the RBI committee measures what Indian families expect of future prices, called inflation expectations. To do this, the RBI chooses 6,000 out of the 25 crore Indian families and surveys them every 2 months. This is used as an input to decide interest rates. I'm sure you're thinking this makes no sense. How can just 20,000 out of 10 lakh EVMs certify India's democracy, or 6,000 out of 25 crore households decide India's $3 trillion economy? Let me explain. Let us suppose you're cooking rice in an open pot in your home for 5 people. If you want to check whether the rice is fully cooked or not, you will take a few random morsels of rice and check whether it's cooked. If these morsels are cooked, you will then conclude that the entire pot of rice is cooked. Now let us suppose there is a big wedding and the cook is cooking rice for thousands of people. To check if the rice is cooked, the cook will do exactly the same thing that you did at home. Just because the pot of rice is much larger, the cook is not going to take 1 kilo of sample to check if the rice is cooked. Sampling is very similar. It does not matter how large the underlying population is, the sample size can be the same. But human societies are not like this pot of rice, which is homogeneous and every morsel of rice is the same. Indian society, you can say, is more like a pot of, let's say, Kolkata mutton biryani, which has mutton, rice, potatoes, onions, cardamom, cinnamon, pepper, and many other spices. When you're cooking mutton biryani, it is not enough to just sample a few morsels of the rice to check if the entire biryani is cooked. You have to take a few samples of the rice, the mutton, the spices, the vegetables separately to check if each of them are cooked. Then you can conclude that the biryani is cooked. This is called stratified sampling in statistics. It is very important to ensure that the sample covers all types of the Indian population across age, gender, religion, caste, income, occupation, etc. More than the size of the sample, this stratification is much more important. So how can we ensure that samples are well stratified? It is well established that a geographical location can be a good proxy for various attributes of the population. A pin code or a village can be a good indicator of the family's income status, caste, occupation, etc. In fact, Harvard economist Raj Chetty has done some wonderful research to highlight how pin codes are a more accurate indicator of the American population's characteristics. India can be geographically stratified as 30 states and union territories, or 543 parliament constituencies, or 650 districts, or 4,100 assembly constituencies, or 6.5 lakh villages, or 10 lakh polling stations. So if one wants to design a well-stratified sample for India, then the sample should represent, say, either all pin codes or assembly constituencies or all districts to truly represent the diversity of the Indian population. In the BARC example, the issue is not whether measuring TV viewership of 44,000 families are enough. The real issue is how well stratified are these 44,000 households. If they have been picked across all assembly constituencies or pin codes, then it is fairly well represented. But if they're all chosen from a dozen cities or a few hundred pin codes, then no matter what the size of the sample is, it will not be good enough. It is now election season. There are many surveys being published. Look closer into these surveys and ask not how large the sample is, but how stratified the sample is.